So I'm going to continue. The last time I talked about abundance and versus attachment. And today I'm going to talk about attachment and aversion. So attachment, there's many different ways, right, that we can experience it. Like greed, craving, desire, selflessness. And we may be attached to material things like car, houses, objects. And there are attachments to relationships, or a desire to be admired or loved. Or we may become attached to an idea. My religion is the only true religion. Or my race is the only worthy one. And the suffering we experience manifests in many ways. When we don't have something, we suffer until we get it. And when we have it, we suffer in case of losing it. So resistance to change is also a symptom of attachment. We can even have an attachment to having no attachments. In that you may feel pride in your achievement and become attached to that pride. And there's aversion, which can manifest itself as anger, revulsion, hatred, dislike, fear, and even indifference. Resistance to change is again a major indication that aversion may be playing a role in your life. So, how can we apply the understanding that our suffering is generally about attachment and aversion, or aversion? So if you are experiencing disturbing feelings, see if it's a form of attachment or aversion. And when you have identified it, you can then contemplate or meditate on how to deal with it. For example, an antidote for greed is generosity. So you can contemplate or commit to an act of generosity. It may be a prayer for the happiness of all beings, a simple act of kindness, or the giving of an offering of flowers or incense or material gift. So observe what it is about that transformation from greed to generosity that makes you happier or eases the intensity of your suffering. Repeated awareness of the nature of how you experience attachment and aversion and how you can transform those experiences to experiences of loving kindness and compassion will accumulate as you train your mind. So make an habit of practicing awareness and an habit of applying the antidote. Over time, we habituate the practice of loving kindness and compassion. The afflictions of attachment and aversion are slowly shaken loose, and we become more content in our circumstances as they are. So if we contemplate desires and listen to them, we are actually no longer attaching to them. We are just allowing them to be the way they are. So this is how to let go. Then we come to the realization that the origin of suffering, desire, can be laid aside and let go of. So how do we let go of things? This means you leave them as they are. It does not mean you annihilate them or throw them away. It is more like sitting down and letting them be. Through the practice of letting go, we realize that there is the origins of suffering, which is the attachment to the desire. And we realize that we could let go of the desire. Once we realize that we have let go of, there is no longer any attachment to them. So when you find yourself attached, remember that letting go is not getting rid of or throwing away. Like if I'm holding to a clock, a little clock, like a little alarm clock, and I say to myself, let it go. It doesn't mean like I have to throw it away. Because that clock can be really useful. She's good. She keeps track of the time. If I change the batteries. That doesn't mean that I'm attached to it. It's just that but that would just be the desire to get rid of him. I'm just going to read this better for me. So I'm holding on to this clock and I say, let it go. This doesn't mean throw it out. I might think that I have to throw it away because I'm attached to it. But that would just be the desire to get rid of it. We tend to think that getting rid of the objects is a way of getting rid of the attachment. No. But if I can contemplate attachment, just grasping of the clock, I realize that there is no point in getting rid of it. It's a good clock, it keeps good time, it's not heavy to carry around, blah, blah, blah. So the clock is not the problem. The problem is grasping at the clock. So what do? Let it go. Let it aside. Put it down gently without any kind of aversion. You can apply this this insight into letting go to the desire for sense pleasures. Maybe you want to have a lot of fun. How would you lay aside that desire without any aversion? Simply recognize the desire without judging it. You can contemplate wanting to get rid of because you feel guilty about having such a foolish desire. But just let it aside. Then when you see it as it is, recognizing that it's just a desire, you are no longer attached to it. So the way is always working with the moment of your daily life. When you are feeling depressed and negative, just the moment that you refuse to indulge in that feeling is an enlightenment experience. When you see that, you need not sink into the sea of depression and despair and wallow in it. You can actually stop by learning not to give things a second thought. And that, I see myself in my days like an obsession. It just comes back to the point all the time, and I just, no, let it aside. And then the come back again. No, let it aside. And just let it go. And Venerable Trinity watched a video a few days ago. She gave a good example too of letting go. So you have to contemplate the experience of letting go and really examine and investigate until the insight comes. Now with personal problems and obsession, you let go of them. It's just that much. It is not a matter of analyzing and endlessly making more of a problem about them, but of practicing that state of leaving things alone. Let them go away. At first, you let go, but then you pick them up again because the habit of grasping is so strong. And it will come and it come and it come, but just with habit. So if you think, I can't do it, I have so many bad habits, don't trust that kind of nagging. It is totally untrustworthy. It is just a matter of practicing letting go. So the more you begin to see how to do it, then the more you are able to sustain the state of non-attachment.